We touched upon clairvoyance in our very first class when we were just describing the psychic senses. So we'll quickly review that along with some other information regarding clairvoyance, and then we're going to do some clairvoyant exercises. So keep in mind that when we're accessing clairvoyance, we're accessing the same functioning that the brain uses when you're dreaming, imagining, or visualizing, accessing those same functions. So if you can visualize, you can learn to access and develop clairvoyance. I want to start by talking about the pros and the challenges to clairvoyant psychic ability. The pros, so to speak, is that clairvoyance is one of the best psychic senses for getting specific information, because you're basically just looking for detailed, specific information. You're seeing the details of the matter. It's the best ability for seeing energy, chakras, auras, things of that nature. It's the best for being able to stay neutral and detached, because you're not really involving yourself as much empathically with your senses. It's more like a detached observation. And it's the best for remote viewing, which we do get into down the road in like the next series of classes. The challenges that come with clairvoyance is that it can also be the most symbolic of the senses. And so that's always a challenge to work around, which we're going to talk about today, is how do I figure out if this is literal or symbolic or both? Just as a dream can have more than one meaning, a clairvoyant image can have more than one meaning as well. And we'll delve into that a little bit today. Another challenge of clairvoyance is it can be a little bit slower to come along in development. And it can be difficult at first to distinguish from your own imagination. So like having the trust of, is this something I'm getting clairvoyantly, or is this just my imagination? The exercises that we do today will help you to get some type of foundation going for yourself along these lines. When we're accessing clairvoyance, we are relaxing the logical mind, using our intention to connect with our inner eye, our spiritual eye, our mind's eye, and we're intending to allow information to come to us in the form of images. Keep in mind that anytime you're accessing any of your psychic abilities, not just clairvoyance, but any of them, it requires you to enter into a meditative state. And that in order to maintain the focus that you're having with whatever psychic ability you're accessing or utilizing, you basically have to keep your focus in the present, in that meditative state. And so just practicing, staying aware of the information that's coming through for that stream of consciousness, in and of itself acts as a good developmental tool for meditation also, because it forces you to stay focused. If you're doing a reading and your mind starts wandering, you're going to lose that connection that you have. And so just the act of practicing doing readings is helpful in learning how to cultivate that ability to maintain your focus. Giving a reading, because of this, when you're giving a reading, it's actually not only healing to the person that you're reading for, but to you also, because of the fact that you have to put your own personal agenda, your own personal situations aside, just being present in the moment in that meditative state. With practice, you'll find that after doing readings, you're in a much different state of being than before you do readings. So it's healing for the reader itself along those lines. As an example, let's say, I've got my own personal life situations going on, whatever they might be. I'm at work doing readings, I have to set those aside and be present for the people that I'm working with. By the end of that reading, I'm in a much better space because I'm channeling that life force energy through me, and it's affecting me too. So readings can be healing for both parties. In this series of classes, we are going to start working a little bit more with, like in the first series of classes, we were like writing everything down before we're saying what we're getting. In this class, we're going to start working a little bit more with just saying what we're getting. And then in the next series of classes, that's going to evolve into being able to prompt ourselves to actually do structured readings. So we're beginning to delve a little bit more along those lines. We're going to begin by learning how to read a person's present energy. Although psychic readings can and do provide information about futuristic stuff, I think a good psychic reading always begins just by looking at a person's present energy, where that person is at presently. I start all my readings that way because I believe that whatever the present energy is basically what's generating what the future is going to be for that person. And so reading the present energy, seeing where they're at mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, presently, helps you to help them understand how they're creating the reality they're creating, and then be able to make whatever adjustments they need to make in the here and now so that they can create the reality that they want. So we're going to start working with that a little bit today. So this whole process, reading a person's present energy, helps to dispel any confusion that might be going on their end, helps to clarify feelings, situations, and can be a strong catalyst for self-awareness and growth for the individual as well. And I think that's the real point of getting a reading is, as we said in the previous series of classes, it's about an enhanced awareness of the now and being able to utilize that as a tool in personal development. When you are looking at energy, whether it's empathically, clairvoyantly, through psychic hearing, knowing, whatever, if you're observing energy, that energy responds to the observation. And it responds in ways that can be seen as almost like a movement. And when that happens, the ability for healing can occur. This has actually been scientifically demonstrated with thermal imaging cameras. I've seen TV shows where a person is giving another person a psychic reading and it's being recorded with thermal imaging cameras, and you can completely see the psychic's energy reaching out to the person's energy kind of reacting and interacting with that while the reading is going on. And to me, that really just validated how much energy moves during a reading. And what that means is that healing is possible. Looking at energy, that energy responds with movement. That movement can facilitate healing for that person. It kind of reminds me of this old saying that says you can't find what you're not looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, you can't find it. If you don't know what you're wanting to manifest, you can't manifest it. If you don't know what needs healing, it can't really heal. So the value, another value of doing readings is that whole process. It gives you the ability to see what might want to be shifted. People who are particularly clairvoyant have a tendency to see energy as color. Color is vibration. And so when you're accessing clairvoyance, you're using psychic abilities in a visual way, and so oftentimes information will come contained in what looks to be color. So one thing that you can do for yourself is study the metaphysical qualities of color. When it comes to psychic ability, spiritual development, I believe in the value of mixing your psychic abilities along with your learned esoteric knowledge. So, and it's just like if you're studying the tarot or other forms of divination that require symbolism, the more your conscious mind understands, the logical mind, the more it can relax, and then the more your intuition can take over. So if you have confidence of knowing, my logical mind knows what red means, pink, orange, and I know that these are ways that the universe can communicate with me, then you're no longer distracted by, am I going to understand what this means? And you can just go with the flow of the process. When you're learning your colors, then all of a sudden you have an understanding of what all of the different gemstones mean. Every orange gemstone is going to have a resonance with second chakra stuff. Every orange gemstone is going to have something to do with creativity, joy, things of that nature. It completely correlates. Even the layers of the aura out this way, as far as the physical layer, the emotional layer, the mental layer, the spiritual layers, exactly correlate with the chakras, except for rather than going up, it goes out. So the chakras are the root is the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the higher is the spiritual. Same this way. So if you could just study a little bit about color this week, you'll have a heads up for the rest of the classes that we're doing in this session. If a color comes to you clairvoyantly and you don't have an understanding right away of what this is signifying, ask for another image to appear that tells you what it means. It's all about intention. So if I'm seeing orange and I don't know what it means, then I can ask the universe, show me another image that tells me what this color means. And then you can ask that image to show you another image for further details. It's just intention and prompting yourself further. Same with if you are unclear about whether or not an image is literal or symbolic, ask that image to show you another image that will substantiate the meaning. Is this literal? Show me another image that might show me that. Is it symbolic? Show me another image that might show me that. Sometimes it can be both. That happens to me all the time, where there's like a symbolic meaning of the image and a literal meaning of the image. It's just a matter of sitting with it, and the more you practice, the more trust comes. And that really is the best way to cultivate a confidence in how your abilities are working, is just practicing. Practice, and the exercises that we do, as you guys have seen so far, we get the feedback, and that builds our confidence in how our abilities are working. Clairvoyant symbols work in the same way as symbols in our daily life do. Let's use the example of a stop sign. A stop sign always means stop, but its precise meaning is contingent upon where that stop sign is. If the stop sign is facing you, that means, okay, you stop right now. But if it's facing away from you or another direction, it still means stop, but it's not necessarily talking to you. So this is kind of a way of trying to understand abstractness. So maybe you're seeing a stop sign for somebody clairvoyantly, which might mean there's something in their life that they need to bring to an end or to stop or to quit. if that stop sign seems like it's facing them, like you, stop doing this. Or maybe the stop sign is facing a different direction, which would mean something else is going on around them peripherally with something else in their life or someone else in their life. Do you guys get what I'm trying to say? Okay, so it's the same, the symbolic images work in the same way. It's based on perspective as far as what the exact meaning is going to be. So, questions? Yes?
Do we ever have to learn animals?
Well,
If I know we're going to learn colors,
yes.
can animals come up along?
Yes, they can. That's a great question to bring up because I think that's based on whatever you feel comfortable with. Like the universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, will communicate with you in ways that you most easily understand. So if you're really connected with the animal medicine thing, guarantee a lot of messages will come to you along those lines. So the more you can broaden, again, your knowledge of spiritual teachings, symbolism, esoteric understandings, the more you're basically building your psychic dictionary, the ways in which spirit can communicate with you. And it's like music is an example. You know, sometimes maybe it's happened to me before where there's a particular line of a song repeating over and over, and whatever that lyric is the message. Or maybe it's the feeling that comes with the song that's the message. Colors, numbers, if you're into astrology, astrological stuff will come through. I also read tarot cards, but I don't even really need my cards anymore. I can just let them appear in my mind's eye. So if you read cards, just let those images come up clairvoyantly. It's really, I think, rooted in what you personally feel aligned with the most is how the universe is going to communicate with you. Yeah, it's your frame of reference. And the more well-rounded your frame of reference is, the more avenues of communication you're generating for yourself. But Spirit will always find a way to communicate with you based on your current frame of reference, whatever that is. So you always have a starting ground. So, and a lot of things like take color and then basic symbols, shapes like circles, wavy lines, things like that are very like universally symbolic, and those are things that we have an understanding of what they mean even though we might not consciously know that. Like if I say, think of a circle, let's just do this quick experiment. When I say circle, what do you guys instantly think of when you think of a circle? Just a circular shape.
Oneness, togetherness, completeness, equality.
Anyone else? Eternity. Good.
Inclusiveness. Fun.
Great. Yeah. And so universally, all of these are typically associated with the symbol of a circle. So here's one example of how a clairvoyant image might work. Maybe you see a circle in your mind's eye, and it means unity, oneness, eternity, the sun, the moon. So it's basically just trusting the impressions that come along with that, like the supporting evidence, so to speak. Now the other thing is even though we're talking about clairvoyance today, those of you who have been working with cultivating your clairsentience, knowing, hearing, you will get feelings that accompany the clairvoyant image, or just a sense of knowing that accompanies the clairvoyant image that further supports whatever the image is that you're getting. Oftentimes when I get a clairvoyant image, I get a sense or a feeling that comes along with it, and that helps me to specify exactly what it means. So don't be afraid to explore in those realms as well.